Hey again, everyone. Awesome. Hope you had a nice, quick break. We're into our last and final session of our breakout groups, and it is my pleasure to introduce our final speaker. So our final session for the administrator session will be on instructional design for asynchronous learning. Asynchronous learning has become increasingly popular in today's educational landscape. Our final speaker brings us a deeper understanding of designing and implementing effective asynchronous learning strategies. So our last speaker is Roselle Basa, the project coordinator for instructional technology at the University of the East. With a background in computer science and information technology, Roselle oversees the utilization of Canvas and contributes to the educational development of both students and teachers. Please give a warm round of applause for Ma'am Roselle. Want me to stay here?
No, we were saying a while ago before we come up stage that he would speak in Tagalog. Can you try to speak Tagalog, Sai? So that for everybody's benefit, so that they know that you're a Filipino.
I'm gonna nosebleed po.
No, just try.
Baka ma-nosebleed.
What is good afternoon in Tagalog?
Magandang hapon.
Very good.
I don't know. I'm Filipino, but I was born in New Zealand and currently live in South Korea. So I can speak Korean better. If you guys want me to teach you Korean, I can speak Korean better. But that will probably take up too much time. But yeah, lovely to meet you. Mahal kita. Love you all.
Have you eaten kare-kare already?
No, I need to eat kare-kare tonight.
Right.
Tonight I need to.
Tonight, okay.
I will, I promise.
Okay. Kare-kare and what else? Balut.
Kare-kare, balut, no way. No way.
Diba, chicharon, ano pa?
Chicharon.
Penoy, dinuguan,
you know,
Betamax.
Baka ma-high blood po pag lechon at chicharon and all that. It's all high blood.
You heard about Betamax last night, right?
Yeah, I've never seen
Isaw, Adidas. Oh. Hindi na to makakauwi.
Yeah, it's too bony. Hey, let's go eat kimchi tonight. How about that instead?
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. That's just, beefing up our session this afternoon. This is our last session. I want to make it a little lively and participative, right? So, SHED, is mandating that we now go into on-site. But they still promote and encourage flexible modality. Right, so that means we can still afford to deploy and implement on-site, off-site asynchronous, and off-site synchronous. In 2020, we utilized the terminologies async and sync only. So nowadays, we are afforded with 3 types of modalities. Again, on-site, off-site async, and off-site synchronous. Now, as mentioned by Ruth and Melissa earlier this morning, we have, as education institution, regardless if we're private or public, we need to maximize the investments that we have, that our institutions have capitalized on. First and foremost, the very expensive learning management system. They were saying the very expensive Canvas. No, I said the very expensive learning management system, right? So we have to maximize that. And in doing so, and being compliant with SHED means that even though we are going back on site, we still need to maximize Canvas. I don't know how you do it in your institutions, but in our case, in the University of the East, we put it under a policy that regardless of the modality, Canvas will be used in terms of complete course content from syllabus, topics from syllabus, learning activities, assessments, and as mentioned by Sir Mark, all feedback and grades, marks created by teachers should all be placed in the grade book. Though we don't have the automated grading system in Canvas because we have a different way of computing our grades, we are, I think, but many of us are utilizing cumulative grading system, right? So we cannot really utilize the weighted grade feature of Canvas, but what we do is we allow, or we make sure that the faculty members download the grade book and transport it into a templated grading system, which is in spreadsheets such as Excel. So my discussion this afternoon would focus on highlighting the different features of Canvas to support asynchronous learning. I don't work for Canvas. My presentation is not in any way an extension of Ma'am Ruth's discussion early this morning, but I would like to emphasize the power of Canvas in addressing a prevailing situation wherein, again, maximizing LMS, even though we are transitioning back to on-site. So as many of you know, in our context, previously, pre-pandemic, asynchronous learning or asynchronous modality had an entirely different meaning. Dati, ano ba ang asynchronous? It could be a correspondence learning for as long as the teacher and the students are not within the same space, that's considered asynchronous. But within the context of pandemic, when we say asynchronous, it made use of learning management system. So the technology, the digital tools are in place to ensure that asynchronous learning has its affordances. So teachers develop learning materials with the consciousness of having remote interaction or remote instruction. Teachers are not present when students consume or engage with the learning materials, and obviously, learners engage with the learning materials and accomplish them at their own pace. Is this the same situation that you have in your institutions? Same. May I see a show of hands who allow faculty members, in terms of their policy, to facilitate asynchronous sessions? May asynchronous pa rin. May on-site, asynchronous. May synchronous pa rin. So 3 modalities kayo. Wow, for the 2023-2024 academic year. Right. In the case of the University of the East, most of our colleges are afforded with just 2 types of modalities, on-site and asynchronous, with the exception of our graduate school and College of Law, which are allowed to facilitate synchronous sessions. So for some reason, our deans believe that since we are transitioning back to on-site, we need to come up with an appropriate proportion of how much on-site and how much async. In our case, it's 2/3 on-site and 1/3 async session. So, multiply it, use the 54 hours per 3 units, so that's 36 hours on-site and then 18 hours asynchronous. That's basically how we do things now. And our school year just started in August 7. So these are the pros and cons of asynchronous learning. So asynchronous learning provides opportunities for longer access to learning materials before submission. It promotes the use of resources in varied formats. It promotes independent learning. So autonomy and independent learning is a skill that we would like our learners to achieve and acquire before they join the workforce, right? And also, it provides opportunity for personalized and differentiated learning. On the other side, it unfortunately spells isolation, that is lack of social interaction. It demands or expects discipline from students. They have to be self-reliant, self-starter, and obviously they have limited interaction with their teachers and lack instant feedback from teachers, especially if the assignments and activities are performance or output-based. That's the normal complaint now of students. Kung dati daw, nung face-to-face, ang teacher, pag nagbigay ng assignment, submit mo today, you will receive the feedback or the graded assignment, let's say at least 1 week. Sipag ng teacher, no? 1 week, the papers are returned with mark and comments. But nowadays, with LMS, I'm not sure with your institution, but in my institution, this is a normal complaint. Like, students would normally get their submitted assignments with feedback and scores weeks after the submission. They would normally see that when the postings of their prelim grade, midterm grade, are done. Guilty ka, sir. Kasi nakikita mo yun, diba, sa speed, well, in Canvas, you see that under speed grader, how many unchecked submissions the teachers have, right? So, I don't know, bakit kaya? Automated naman ng speed grader. Why do you think that is? Depends on the kinds of assessment. You have rubrics, or it could be authentic assessment that you need rubrics for, and that the students expect that you have, annotation in their submitted PDF, right? So it takes a long time for faculty members really to compose their feedback. And normally, in terms of the practice of the teachers, you grade one set of assignment in one sitting, right? You do not put it off like, okay, I'm gonna check the 30 students and the rest, never mind, I'll check it tomorrow. Why? Iba na yung mood mo tomorrow. Either you're lenient tomorrow or you're masungit tomorrow, so the grading system varies, right? So that's a normal complaint of the students. There's no instant feedback when it comes to asynchronous activities. Now, I would just like to showcase two prevailing instructional design that have been popular because of the pandemic. These are instructional design models, some are, and the other one is TPAC. There are a lot of instructional design models out there, but these two became popular during the pandemic because it forces the activities, regardless whether it's asynchronous or synchronous, to have that component of technology. All right, so this is TPAC. Now, what you're seeing on the screen is a proposed framework of an ongoing research that we have in our institution. So we are actually in that stage where we are finalizing our instrument to capitalize on measuring the quality of asynchronous activities. So if you notice at the left side, we have the different entities and stakeholders that are involved. Teachers, who are course developers, students, who are consumers or users of the instructional the instructional materials, and quality assurance group, who also evaluate the development of the instructional materials. So that means these three categories of stakeholders will evaluate the asynchronous learning activity on the basis of the following variable: content, delivery, engagement, and use of technology. I'm not going to go through this. My presentation is not a research-based, but I would just like to mention that in our institution, we have an ongoing research to zero in on the measure of the quality of asynchronous learning. So right now, we have different attributes that will define content, delivery, engagement, and use of technology on the aspect of asynchronous activities. Now, this is the heart of my presentation. Again, I do not work for Canvas. I just want to, Adam, you're laughing. Now, in terms of synchronous learning activities or synchronous learning design, as mentioned also by Ruth earlier, it's important that the students see consistency in terms of layout and design of the course. What you're seeing at the left side are the different, say, components or subcomponents of a module. So you have module overview, you have learning activities, assessments. So all throughout modules or topics, in our case we call them topics, right? What we see on the syllabus are topics, but they are translated as modules in Canvas. So each module, whether that's module 1, module 2, module 10, they would have the same component. And each component will have a standardized layout, so that the students, whether they are new LMS users or not, they would have this feeling of consistency and organization and structuredness. So that's one. Second is you make use of the prerequisite feature of Canvas, wherein you can control the access of subsequent module once they have fulfilled the requirements that you have set for previous modules. Meaning they wouldn't be able to go to module 2 unless all of the prerequisites for module 1 have been fulfilled. So Canvas has that under prerequisite. Now, under a specific module, for example, you can also set up the requirement feature. Like, if a module contains multiple resources, like pages, assignments, assessments, you can control the students' access to subsequent resources if they have satisfied whether they viewed the item, they have marked it done, or if they have submitted, or if they have reached a specific score that you have previously set. So this, for me, is a very good feature that, forces the students to ensure the accomplishment of the different resources. However, on the part of the teachers, it's very difficult to manage. They would, students would normally request for extension. Ma'am, can you reopen the quiz? Ma'am, can you reopen the, yeah? And if you do not respond, what do? How do they give you their submissions if the assignments in Canvas are already closed? Chat, diba? They would put it under, actually they will put it under speed grader under comment. Or they will put it or submit it via email or via inbox. Correct? So a lot of work around for us. Another is, obviously, asynchronous learning activities encompass, as mentioned by Mom earlier, authentic or output-based assessment, right? You can ask your students to, come up with outputs and requirements such as videos, reflection, consumption of watching something, With that, you can have, obviously, integrate Rubric in it. Lahat po ba gumagamit ng Rubric? All right. So Rubric is a way not necessarily just for teachers to mark the students' submission, but also for students to ensure that they get the highest score. So rubrics are shown together with the activity, so they get the highest grade. So this is an example of an activity which uses a rubric in Canvas. All right, I'm gonna go back. And then at the right side, you have the actual submission of the student, and teachers can annotate inside using speed grader, right? And utilize and pull out that rubric to make the markings easier. And in terms of commenting, you can have comments which are in the library so that you do not have to waste your time thinking of what comments to place. But this, at the start, when this was originally deployed by Canvas, teachers love it because they don't have to waste their time, thinking of how many ways you say very good. You say very good. Another way of saying very good, well done, nice job, great work, right? So it says the same thing, but you just have to modify it a bit so that, students you make the students feel that you are in fact, but we are in fact. We are in fact, obviously, consuming and in fact, commenting appropriately on their work. This one is allowing your students to review other people's work. So how many have used this? Peer, this is very nice. It's very exciting for me. So you provide opportunities for students to grade the work of their classmates by assigning the activities that each student partake on in terms of review. So this is something that you can maximize on. Also, you set up a group inside Canvas and deploy activities, assignments per group. Though I see many teachers are having difficulty with it, so what they normally do when deploying grouping is self-sign up. That's the easiest way. So they create the number of groups, the number of members per group, and then allow the students to just choose the groups or the group that they want to belong to. What's the danger there? What's the problem? I think probably Canvas can figure this out. Students can transfer from one group to another, right, Adam? Yeah, so that's the problem. Meaning if I am a student, I chose group A, I can transfer from one group to another unless the teacher changes that setting and ensure that, changing or self-sign up is already closed. But until that time, they can move from one group to another. But this is one way of ensuring collaborative learning, asynchronous assessment, peer review. So even if we are using a digital tool like an LMS, collaboration is still a skill that students need to maximize and practice. Now, discussions is, or Canvas discussion is another feature wherein we can deploy assessment or learning activities that require insights from students. You can have a very simple, provocative question, or you can ask them to research on a very compelling or trendy topic. And you can associate Rubric for a discussion as well. So, yung iba kasi akala nila, discussion, nag-share lang tayo. So you reply, but you can actually grade the discussions, and you can actually create Rubric for Canvas discussions. And then obviously, you can deploy tests. Test-based, test-based assessments which are done asynchronously are still promoted, right? Though we are advocating for a more authentic and output-based assessment. So it's just a balance of the two types of assessment anyway. So Canvas can use different types, or can deploy different types of tests, from multiple choice to essay, fill in the blanks, and so on. Utilizing quizzes, you can randomize the question inside the quiz using a question group. You can actually populate a question bank and link your question inside a question bank so that you do not redo everything. Like questions that you have deployed for quiz number 1 can be added or pulled out for prelim exam, midterm exam, or even for departmental exams. So teachers would be able to reuse these questions. Also, how many have used Mastery Path? Mastery Path is Canvas' way of differentiated or personalized learning. That means if a particular student has reached a specific score in a specific resource and you as a teacher is not satisfied with that accomplishment, you can actually automate what other resources, what other assessments and activities can be consumed by that student to ensure mastery or proficiency. And this can be done in an automated manner. I think this is my last slide. So this is just one way of making your resources, how do you say that? Flexible. So if a student, for example, reached a very low score in a specific resource, you can decide what other resources can be deployed for him. All right. With that, Sai, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy or you learn something from my very short conversation or talk with you.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Ma'am Roselle? Really quickly. And like she said, she doesn't work for Canvas. Well, everyone, please give a big round of applause one more time for Ma'am Roselle. Thank you so much. And thank you again to all of our speakers today. I hope it was informative and you got something out of it. If you've got any questions for the speakers, go and speak to them. Sir Michael, Ma'am Roselle, Ma'am Raisa, go and speak to any of them if you've got any questions. Or if you've got questions for the Canvas staff, look for us with these shirts on. We'd be happy to talk to you about anything, any of these features that you've seen today as well. So we're going to break for a 20-minute afternoon tea, which is at the back there. And then we're going to move to the next room, Centennial Hall A, for our